There you go, guys. So what I thought I might do is make a separate little video on how to wet sand a panel that you're preparing to put a top coat on after you've done obviously all the metal work, body filler, you know, sanded it out, high build and all that sort of stuff. So what I've done is I've sprayed 2 or 3 coats of semi-gloss black on here because that's what I had. That was the same as the chassis, and it's the same paint as what's going on the car, but it's high gloss. So instead of wasting the high gloss, now I've still got a bit of paint left over from doing the chassis and stuff. I've still got some other small stuff to paint, but I should be fine. But basically what I'm doing is I've used it to gauge, because these fenders or mud guards or whatever have had so much work done to them. I've had a lot of abuse. I've done a lot of shrinking to get them back into the shape. The car was, you know, it's almost €100 car. It's had a lot of abuse. It's had quite a few repairs. They've been split and bent and cracked and twisted, and I've straightened them out the best I can. You know, I probably could have spent more time, but it's like, how much money does the customer have at the end of the day? So what I've done here is sprayed them with, once I got them to the point where I thought that they were good enough to paint, you sprayed them with 2 to 3 coats of colour, 2-pack, and because I know it's 2-pack, it's going to take a bit to wet sand out. So I've got 600 wet and dry. This is Norton, but I wouldn't normally use Norton. I like using 3M, but it's just what I could get at the moment. That was handy from one of the local places. I haven't had a good chance to suss out from some of the suppliers in town whether I can get 3M wet and dry, but you probably can. So basically you want like a good block of some description. Get out of the fly. Some soap and water in a spray bottle or like a small container. Now, like I've got an ice cream container with a bit of soap and water in it. I've been sanding, I've sanded 2 other fenders over the last couple of days. It's basically the front fenders, which are quite big on a 20s car, taking me basically almost a day each to block out, back to where I'm happy and got all the orange peel in the end, little marks out that I've missed in the stages before, if you know what I mean. So that's why I've done it with the black, because it's easier to see, and when it's wet I can see that's nice and straight too. So basically what I'll do is obviously give you a block of a quick spray with soapy water, or use a rag and knock some water on here, spray it down. Now what I would normally do, put down here, what I would do is I would run your block backwards and forwards across your whole panel. Obviously the whole thing if you can, but yeah, depending on the area, because I've got to be, these are awkward little bloody things. I'm going to make some better stands at some point for doing this sort of stuff, but backwards and forwards like that, across that whole section, and then come back and go like this, you know, go across it, and then 45 backwards and forwards, and then go the other 45, and just basically keep repeating that until you get down to the point where you can see whether maybe you have some problem areas. You know, you can run that block hard on that edge where that body line comes up to. Now you can give that a reasonable hard rub, but don't go crazy. Don't go backwards and forwards there 100 times in the one spot. Otherwise you're going to screw up what you're trying to do. So basically, you know, give it 3 or 4 good passes, and then do your whole panel again, or that section of the panel that you're working on. And then backwards and forwards again, across at 45, at whatever, just in a reasonably random pattern, so you're always going over the different spots in the panels from a different direction every time. Basically, you know, every couple of passes change your direction of the way you're sanding. So you know, straight, backwards and forwards, 45 or 45. So you're not always sanding that panel in the one direction. That's because otherwise you end up with waves in it, you know, and it'll get worse and worse and worse. But if you go one direction, then another direction, and then sort of, that's what I would normally do. It's like 90 degrees to each other, and then 45 across the direction of the panel, or whatever, you know. And then every now and again, give your panel a good spray, try and get rid of the, basically you're washing the sanded paint away, or rinsing it away for a reasonable amount, and keep going. I'll sand this a bit longer, and then we'll wipe it down and dry it off, and we'll look for problem spots and whatever else. A lot of this panel from here over is not seen. That's where it bolts up underneath the back of the body. So we're not worried about over here too much. Now I'll rub it out over there. Obviously it's got to be sanded so it can be painted, but we don't have to get fussy over there, if you know what I mean. Just got to sand up to that little imaginary lines that are through here. It disappears wherever the bolt holes are, you know what I mean. So we'll concentrate on this piece. We'll start off with the centre section. Backwards and forwards. So this is, you know, obviously for top coat, we're not colour sanding here. Different situation, you know. A similar thing, but you wouldn't be starting with 600. You know, you'd be, you know, probably a minimum of 1,000. You know, and then you'd go up from there. Whereas we're just getting this prep for the final coat, final colour, you know. And then clear coat, if you're putting clear coat over top, this is just going to be solid black, and the body's going to be a sort of medium darkish blue. So yeah, just keep changing your direction every whatever, a couple of passes, doing that, backwards and forwards again, crisscross, and again. So you got that nice even coverage from all different directions. Right, we'll give this a quick wipe down. Put a bit more water in here. Camera, a bit more water in here. I've got I haven't got a hose or source of water here. I've just got a sort of a 4-gallon tub of water here with a tap on it. So basically, you know, fill your thing up with water, and then this is just some dishwashing liquid, and just this is watered down a little bit, just a bit of a dribble in there. If it was if that wasn't the end of a bottle and I put a little bit of extra water in it, just so it would go a wee bit further, you just, you know, 3 or 4 drops in there and that's all you need. Or and same in here, you know, 3 or 4, you know, just a few drops, just to make it a little bit soapy. Don't want it freaking real bubbly, but just a little bit soapy. So that's your mix. Just give it a bit of a shake up. But we'll give this a wipe off with a rag I've been using all day. Change that from the other one I get, it's drier. We'll give this a wipe off, we'll see where we're at. What I'll do is I'll bring you down, I'll pull this around a little bit to show where we've started and where we've finished, where we're sort of at, you know. This is the piece that's not sanded, obviously, and show the difference in what we're trying to achieve. Alright, so we've been sanding this for a few minutes now, hopefully not too long in the video. I'll speed it up if I have to a little bit. So what we're trying to achieve is basically the paint with no orange peel on it like this. So this is what we sort of started. Well, this is what we started off with, isn't when I sprayed it out. You know, and I wasn't too fussy with my mixture as long as it sprayed out reasonable. You know, because I knew that I was going to be wet sanding it out. So yeah, well, as you can see where I've started sanding into it, and it's getting less and less orange peel. And then obviously these spots here with almost no orange peel, and then some with. Now that's what we're trying to get rid of, every little piece of this, so when we put the top coat on there, this panel is as flat and as clean as possible and as smooth as possible. You know, we're trying to get rid of any little marks like that. We'll just keep sanding this panel down until we get rid of that. Well, yeah, as long as I don't touch steel. If I hit steel, I've got to stop, basically. But you know, we can see around here, now we're getting down. So basically, just keep doing that until you get rid of everything. You know, and just if you do find you've got the odd trouble spot, don't focus on that spot. Just do an extra pass across it. So what I'm talking about is, just give that a wee dab in there. So instead of going there like that and trying to sand that out, all you're doing is creating yourself a problem, and then you can end up with a funny spot in your final product. So basically, you'd run your block across it, maybe an extra 2 or 3 times, and then do your rest of your panel. So if you're getting down really close, and you've still got this mark in here, and everything else looks really good, but you've still got that mark, but like it's obviously going to be less, yeah, just run your panel, run your block across there a couple of 3 or 4 times, and then do the rest of the panel. And then obviously same, bring your block up to it. Just keep doing that, and then when you come back to your straight, just another couple passes across it. So you're pulling this down evenly, but you're just giving that an extra few wipes across, so you're not, you know, so you're bringing it down reasonably evenly, but you're trying to bring that down a little bit quicker without concentrating on that freaking, you know, like that. What are we talking, you know, 2-inch area? If you're like really trying to get it out, that's the worst thing you can do. Just run your block, you know, an extra couple of times over it, and then do the rest, you know, and come back like that, you know, and then come back to it. But you try and sand as much of the panel as you possibly can when you're doing that, so you're just bringing the whole lot down to its level, so it doesn't look weird. Otherwise you end up with a wave in it, or a ripple in it, or a funny circular patch in it where it's been pulled down hard. That's what you don't want. So that's basically my tips for wet sanding stuff out. If you can, and it's a flatter panel, obviously use a bigger flatter block. Now I could put, this is not wet and dry, but I could put a half sheet of wet and dry, like normal sort of paper. Or if you've got access to it, you know, and you've got long blocks, likes of over here, like I've got big long acrylic blocks, like I could use that. Or I've got my, where's my Dura block. I want to get a longer Dura block. I've only got a semi-short, well, a mid-length one. No, it's not the one I want, but this sort of thing, or the bigger one, like over there, you know, that if you've got access to like a sticky back or Velcro back that's wet and dry paper, use that for like big long panels. You know, it's wet and dry it out, especially when you come into that last block back. So that's what I would do, but this is what I'm doing with this, because it's a very curved panel, and I'm using this short little semi-hard block that's easy to manage with just for a quarter of a sheet of normal, you know, paper like this, you know, or either that, or you're using it off a like a roll, or whatever you've got access to that's wet and dry, obviously, because this stuff here will work, but it'll fall apart fast, whereas this you can sand with, you know, for quite a few hours before it runs out of, you know, steam, if you know what I mean. Or you'll wear the grit off the paper before the paper will fall apart, whereas it'll be the other way around with that. The paper will fall apart before the grit will come off it, or wear out, you know what I mean. So just keep doing that, and you should be good. That's all I can pretty much say. Yeah, just a few drops of dish soap and water. 600 is all you need for doing this sort of work. You might go to 800 if you really wanted to, but personally I don't think you're really achieving much going to an 800 after this. You know, you're pretty much, once you've got it down flat with 600, whether it's on a block like this or a long block or whatever, it should be plenty to put a top coat over top. You don't really need to go any more stupid than that, unless you're, you know, building a multi-million-dollar show car, you know, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But at this point, yeah, this is all you need to do. So you just basically follow those tips backwards and forwards across, and then 45, and just keep passing over those panels like that. Yeah, and if you do happen to have a little spot that's a slightly trouble spot, do an extra couple passes just across that, you know, and then do it. Obviously, you know, if it's in the middle of a big panel, you know, a couple passes that way, couple passes that way as you're going backwards and forwards across it. But be careful that you don't, you know, you do multiple passes too much. You want to keep going backwards and forwards across the whole panel, not just that one spot. Otherwise, you'll end up with a wonky piece in it. But that's all I can say. Basically, just got to keep bringing the whole panel down to meet it, or the whole piece of panel. So, all right, I'll leave you at it. Thanks for watching. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully that gives some people that haven't done this sort of work before, or very new to it, some tips and tricks. It couldn't be really any simpler. It's just patience and time. Don't try and dig out, yeah, like I said, little marks. Just keep sanding the whole panel back. You know, maybe an extra swipe across that one spot as you're running backwards and forwards, you know, as you're going across that panel. You might better do a couple of swipes across that, and then keep moving across, and then a couple of swipes move across, and obviously depending on what direction you're going, just to try and bring that one down a little bit quicker if it does happen to be, just, you know, a bit of a problem area. But just generally just keep doing the whole thing, keep coming back across it, and you'll eventually get it out. And if you hit steel before you get it out, well, you end up with a little mark in there, and you might better put a little bit of prime across it and block it out again, and then colour. But yeah, if you happen to find it's something there that really annoys you, but you should be good with that info. Righty guys, cheers. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.